What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first Link Evolution player match set on the channel. For those of you who aren't aware yet, MegaGaming and myself have decided to upload a series of videos where we duel each other in match format on a regular basis, taking turns in uploading videos with our perspectives. First video of this series featuring my Utopia deck is on MegaGaming's YouTube channel, which will be linked in the description. There aren't a lot of Link Evolution content creators, so make sure to check out his channel regardless, as he has tons of decks that I don't, as well as more detailed explanations. Even though the duel has already started in the background, this first duel actually doesn't count because my game crashes for the 100th time, which has been a regular occurrence for me when streaming or using the Switch in dock mode. Some of you may have seen this frequently in my streams, and it is one of the most aggravating things I have to deal with in this game and making content. Regardless, as you can see, I am playing some Block Dragon BA action, a new deck that hasn't been on the channel yet, but it has been requested. In the past, I have done a semi-pure Burning Abyss deck, but this is actually day one of me playing with the Block Dragon version. I'm going to upload a full deck video for this in the future, so I'll showcase and talk about the deck more there. Onto the duel though, sadly we are hit with a Nibiru, so our plays did get somewhat disrupted, but not too much. Thankfully, we still have a decent route to take as we are able to salvage our Link 2 and have plenty of extenders in the hand. We still have Cherubini's effect, which I almost forgot about, so we did get lucky there as well, so it's almost like the Nibiru didn't affect us too bad. The Psychic Duel we got with the update are amazing level 3 extenders for this deck, so we can resume our Link summoning like we were attempting before. Seeing as how this is my testing phase kind of, I do have quite a bit of options when going into specific extra deck monsters, so I'm kind of all over the place at times in the match trying to figure out what to do. Since we do have enough materials for a full Saryuja though, I decided to go for it and see if we could get something good in the hand. Because our Dante didn't get to mill 3, we did get some potential plays ruined, so going into Curious, the Light Sworn Link probably would have been a good idea here, instead of Saryuja first to get that precision mill from the deck. Honestly, I did kind of undervalue Curious in this set, so it's something I'll have to work on for the future in playing this deck. This really isn't the ideal turn 1 I would hope for, but the game crashes here anyway, so there goes this duel. The sad thing to take away from this is that MegaGaming now knows what deck I am playing while I'm still clueless to his, as he is going second and only showed a Nibiru, so I'm slightly disadvantaged here now. Whenever we duel, we never reveal the decks we are playing beforehand, but a lazy habit of mine is that I will always play the deck that belongs to the character avatar I'm playing as. While Kite is known for Galaxy Eyes, his challenge mode deck is Burning Abyss for whatever reason, so if you see me on ranked in the future playing a character, expect to see one of their decks. Take 2 however now, once again we are going first with the only knowledge being that Mega had Nibiru in his main deck. We have a decent starting hand and Mega here decides to be a gentleman and admits that he does not have Nibiru in his hand at this time. This is also due to his curiosity in seeing what kind of board I can create on turn 1 without being disrupted. Having Block Dragon in the hand already helps a lot as he plays a crucial part in making this deck pop off. Unfortunately, my decisions here get a little shaky after this part since I don't have another level 3 extender for Dante. To save the suspense, the play I'm going for involves summoning Fossil Diner with Saryuja to prevent all special summons. Once Block Dragon is used as a link material, I can search Fossil Diner via his effect. Going into IP Masquerena here was a waste because its secondary effect of making its next link monster immune to destruction is much better utilized for one of our ending link 4s. Even though there is no time limit for our duels, I don't want to abuse it too much against Mega, so I end up regrettably rushing this next sequence. We're still within our goal, however, despite the wrong sequence, so we are still going to get somewhere at least. Appaloosa did cross my mind somewhere along here just to deal with a potential Nibiru again, but I decided to trust Mega when he said he didn't have it. If this was an actual ladder duel, I might have started panicking even more over the timer I think, because it felt like the turn was cutting it close around now. Going into Curious here was a waste of resources now that I look at it, but subconsciously I probably did it to make up for that last duel. I used 2 link monsters with 2 markers each to go into Curious, and because of this, I wasted IP's effect actually. Curious does have the neat effect of sending a card to the grave from the deck, so we'll make the best of it. Once again, I found myself trying to wrap things up here, so I end up going for the quickest extender I can find, and we also get some decent mills in the process. I was kind of unsure if it was correct to go into Saryuja with 3 monsters or 4, as its drawing effect always tempts me too much, but this move also felt like a waste of resources in the back of my mind. Regardless, I have to play the special summon Fossil Diner so we can slow Mega down some hopefully at least. The ideal ending board would be me using Block Dragon and Gizmek Orochi to overlay into the Dingirsu Orcus to further protect Fossil Dyna because of his weak stats, but sadly I messed that up. Once I drop Fossil Dyna, however, Mega does audibly make his frustrations known, so in some way I've slowed him down a little, I figured. Finally, we are at his turn, and of course he opens up with a Lightning Storm, further proving he has a deck that must go second. Had we been smart and gone into our usual IP Masquerena maybe, we might have saved the monster, but it's not the end of the world luckily, as the important monsters are in defense. I finally get to see that he is running a train deck, and sadly he has enough attack points to swing over our fossil, so that didn't last too long. With the restriction up, he gets to use Urgent Schedule, which would have been bad had we not had the fossil beforehand. I don't really have much knowledge on trains except that they can summon high ranking sea monsters with absurd effects sometimes, so things look to be in a tight spot here. If I remember correctly though, Mega makes a slight error as he tries to use his Flying Pegasus' level change effect. When I looked at it in detail, I noticed he cannot use it in the same turn that he attacks with something other than an Exceed monster. It's not really an error since he had to deal with Fossil Dyna anyway, but it was good for me as we are able to prevent a rank 10 summon. He does use the two monsters to go into a new monster I've never seen before, and the first thing I do notice is that it has an annoying quick effect. I'm not in too bad of a spot, but at this point I'm pretty sure his next turn will be dangerous, so I have to try and get something going this turn before he gets rolling. With no cards in hand, I think it was best to summon Gizmek Orochi here to try and recover a little, despite my low deck count. At this moment, all I was thinking of was trying to come back and take the pace of the game back before I get OTK'd. Mega did admit that Fossil Dyna ruined his plans quite a bit, especially since he would have had a rank 10 play and could have really did some damage, so I know he has the potential to make things dangerous here. I have a few options to go with here, but the immediate one I know I need to do is force his Link monster to activate his effect via Orochi. He's gonna get to bring back a monster, but I figured it'd be best to get that out of the way as soon as possible so we can move on to other plays. Recover was a pretty useless top deck here, but it's my only way of summoning the Churia Beast, which wouldn't do much now, so I decided to go for Levi Air to bring back a banished monster. I probably didn't need to do this as there really is nothing notable to get back, but if we had a Burning Abyss monster left in the deck, bringing back Rhino would have been an okay decision. I still end up doing it, but I really don't get to use its effect anyway. The other decent option would have been Borosword Dragon, but I think I was pretty sure there were no more Gigantes left in the deck to search with Block Dragon anymore anyway. Not to mention Gigantes wouldn't have been able to deal with his 2000 defense monster, so Borosword wouldn't have gotten lethal. I do start scouring the extra deck for potential options here once again, but nothing is really looking like a lethal opportunity, and without any cards in the hand I can't go into Nightmare Unicorn. I decided to just swing for damage here since we have the monsters for it, as there is really nothing else to be done, but I'm pretty sure this isn't enough to stop him in the back of my mind. Mega does throw an insane curveball here and activates limiter removal, killing off our Block Dragon in the process sadly. In hindsight, Borosword probably would have been a good idea now, or even the Dingirsu Orcus, but it's too late to go into those options now. BLS Soldier of Chaos is an alright link monster for this deck, so I figured being immune to certain things will help for defense on the following turn. The other thing is that I didn't want to leave two weak monsters on the field exposed to his trains, which was our mistake in the first place sadly. We also have one last Block Dragon summon play for some extra defense as well, but I figured they won't do much. 4 cards in hand, Mega gets Terraforming and gets to search his field spell. I'm not 100% sure on what it does, but I'm sure it's something we don't want to see. I'm also sure that things aren't looking good at this point because there's not an ounce of hesitation in his plays, and just to throw salt on the wound, he hits me with a Kaiju as well. And all the times I've faced MegaGaming, I'm pretty sure I've been hit with a Kaiju every single time, so if you do run into him on the rank ladder like I do, look forward to it because he runs that card in his decks as much as I run Called by the Graven Mind. He does get his train plays rolling, and of course he has a rank 10 Exceed monster coming out soon, so we are pretty screwed here. He also gets to revive his Link monster, which is another issue. We only have 7 cards left in the deck and nothing in the hand, so I'm pretty confident he has this round in the bag. Even though he makes a mistake in trying to pop Block Dragon with Gangara Die, it doesn't really matter since he can rank up into the all-powerful Juggernaut Libe. Libe is something I've never faced and it's one of those things I've only heard horror stories about, so seeing it for the first time pretty much confirms that I had the potential to die immediately on turn 1 if I didn't have Fossil Dyna. We do end up surviving for the turn since Libe can only attack multiple monsters and not directly, but the damage has been done so things are about ready to wrap up for this first duel. Since this is match format, we do have the option to utilize our side deck between duels. I usually don't use it, but I end up sliding in Ghost Ogre just to see. Side deck cards in this kind of deck are pretty tough as it revolves around milling cards, so we don't even end up seeing the Ogre at all after this point. Since we know now the kind of deck we are up against, MegaGaming is definitely going to go first this time, and like I mentioned, no hand traps in sight. He does have a decent turn 1 play, but I'm sure he would have rather saved his materials for offense. The cool thing about Block Dragon BA is that it can also get some pretty sick turns going second, all because of its massive board spam potential, so I know I definitely want to end this as soon as possible. I probably should have started with the Burning Abyss monsters, but it doesn't matter too much as we're still going to achieve a similar result. His Exceed monster Dora is something I am familiar with as it can make itself immune to other effects by detaching material, so I know I'm going to have to go for attack points as opposed to clearing it with an effect. Luckily I have 2 monsters to do so in the extra deck, and that is Sword Dragon and Mech Knight Crusadia Avamax. Had I used the BA monsters as link materials, I could have triggered their effect sooner, so that was a lesson learned here, but it doesn't matter too much. I'm pretty confident I have enough extenders to get one of those Link 4 monsters, so we are going to be able to crush his monster no matter what. Appaloosa did cross my mind here as well because of his potential Nibiru, but I figured he wouldn't sacrifice his Dora so easily, so I decided to commit fully. With Hulka Fibrax getting another monster, we had the potential to go into Naturia Beast here by summoning Recover and using Block Dragon to search Gigantes, but I end up deciding against it, and Mega does end up using Ash Blossom on block anyway later on, but it was an option. At this point, I'm trying to decide if Borosword or Avamax is a better decision here, but I do feel less confident with Borosword as I'm not sure if his effect still activates since it lowers the opponent's monster's attack points in response. If he still gained the attack points, we would have had a good chance for lethal as we still have Block Dragon available, but I do end up playing it safe and going for Avamax. Phoenix was the icing on top as we could get rid of his field spell for free as well since block can be used in the hand or grave. I do make a mistake here and summon Block Dragon in defense mode, which wasn't even required since Avamax can deal with Dora, so we do end up missing on 2500 points of damage. This is probably because I was so intent on using it as a link material and getting to search for more monsters, but as I mentioned before, we do get hit with Ash Blossom, so that idea does get shot down. Mega does mention that I did chain block his Ash Blossom earlier, so that is a cool thing to remember since I didn't even think about that. I go into IP Masquerena for the potential quick Unicorn summon, but this only would have worked if Block Dragon has searched successfully. Regardless, having Avamax on the field is a pretty safe board as his attack gain triggers on either turn, and Mega must attack him before my other monsters. The only thing I did get worried about, and I did mention this to Mega, is a Kaiju, as he can tribute off Avamax like nothing. He does pray for the Kaiju top deck, but unfortunately he doesn't get it, and he doesn't really have any other plays left in his hand, so we are going to take this win. The downside that we get hit with now is that we have to go first again, and I know this time I need to have a sturdier board than the first duel. I had to be mindful of Nibiru and Kaijus as either one of those could make things tough for me, but this deck does need to get its special summons out to get rolling, so I just have to roll the dice. Milling Graph here is pretty unfortunate as I have to summon a BA monster only for it to get destroyed since I don't have Phoenix Rhino Warrior or Cherubini on the field, but luckily Libet can summon Edge of Sabers from the hand while we still keep our normal summon. Sadly, Nibiru does come back for this duel, which really hurts, but there is a small glimmer of hope I see with the cards in my hand to mount some kind of defense. A better play would have been the normal summon Giant Rex before going into Cherubini and going into a full Appaloosa, but I got greedy and had to settle with this unfortunately. Thanks to the small combo with Gigantes and Giant Rex, we can still muster up some Link monsters and get enough to go back into Mech Knight Crusadia Avamax. This play was really risky as a Kaiju could have easily ruined this, but it did feel like the safest option since we have no hopes of Block Dragon or Fossil Dino this time around. Once again, Mega prays for the Kaiju here, and luckily he doesn't have it, but it does seem clear that he has some plays still. The interesting thing to wonder here for me is how does he out Avamax without a Kaiju in this deck, and later on he does also mention that he runs Cyber Dragon, so he did have a potential Mega Fleet play. He does go into Gustav Max here, which is another terrifying card since he can deal 2000 damage easily, and this makes me start to worry a little because taking that much damage can be dangerous against an OTK deck like this. He does rank up into Juggernaut Libe soon after, and once I see it in attack mode, I start to wonder if he does have an out. I do figure out that he does have limited removal in hand, but I felt pretty confident that Avamax would also gain the attack points of limited removal, and it turns out he doesn't even get to activate it since Avamax's effect goes right at damage calculation, and limited removal only goes up to the end of the damage step. So we do dodge a bullet there, and unfortunately MegaGaming is in a defensive position, so we do have to end things quickly before he gets a Kaiju. Danger Jackalope doesn't really do much for us as summoning a Danger in defense mode doesn't help us at all for lethal. I decided to not play anything in fear that he has some form of piercing damage or something against my weaker monsters, but sadly we have to wait another turn and hope that the Kaiju didn't land on the top of his deck. He gets urgent schedule yet again, which is pretty annoying starter to see, but since I didn't see a Kaiju right away, I'm pretty sure we are safe again, or so I thought at the time. In one of the scariest spams I've seen, Mega does get 4 monsters out from 2 cards, and the possibilities start to worry me as I still don't know what other options he can have. He does take some time to think about his next play, but an important thing to note was that urgent schedule restricts him to attacking with only machine type monsters for the rest of the turn. I almost expected him to follow up with Gustav Max and continue to burn for damage, but he does something surprising and goes into Borolo Dragon. Borolo sadly is another out to Overmax as it doesn't target or destroy, so seeing this really did worry me initially. The good thing however was that I did remember Schedule's restriction, and I do read it out loud to Mega Gaming. Unfortunately he does try to enter an attack with Borolo, and he cannot, so we dodge another bullet and we can safely go for lethal next turn. I barely win the match somehow, making some risky and questionable moves at times, but it felt good trying out the deck and seeing its potential. A good game like always with Mega Gaming, and I hope you guys enjoyed our second match video. He does have a video on his train deck on his channel, so make sure to check that out. And stay tuned for the deck video on Block Dragon BA in the future on my channel. Let me know what you guys think of these videos and make sure to like and subscribe to both channels for more Link Evolution content.